Madagascar, when rivers hush and not even frogs sing, something waits beneath the water. A breath, not your own. A shape that doesn't ripple. It waits. That's when you know the Lalomena is near. The name is rare, whispered only in tales. It means the red one. They say it lived in rivers, horned like a god, monstrous and ox-shaped. Its whistle could summon storms. Its steps could split the earth. Some believe it protected the water, dragging away those who disrespected its flow, those who polluted, who overfished, who forgot to give back. Others believed it was a warning, a shadow when the balance of things was off. At first, the stories feel like folklore, just old tales to scare children away from deep water. But then, the bones begin to speak. In quiet lands and holy grounds, fragments surface. Real beasts, once enormous, once fearsome. And suddenly, the line blurs. The story shifts. The legend no longer feels like a dream. It feels remembered. Because sometimes monsters fade. They linger just below the surface. In the southern regions of Madagascar, rivers snake through the forests. To visitors, they seem quiet, beautiful. But to those who truly know, these rivers are not empty. Something watches. The elders say the river lives, its spirit is ancient, and that at its heart lives the Lalomena. Its name hints of color, the red one. Its horns, they say, glow crimson in the moonlight. Curved, powerful, coveted. Some believe they hold magic. Others say they were bones, stained by ages in earth and blood. But always two, and always red. Its body, massive, bull-like. Not a crocodile, but something broader. A black hill rising from water. The kind of creature that didn't chase you. It waited. They say when it appeared, the trees bent, and when it watched, the river pulled back, ashamed of what it had witnessed. It was not a hunter, it was a judge. Long ago, a Safi Maniri fisherman, clever and bold, refused to give thanks. He pulled fish faster than his village could eat them, ignored the old rites, gave nothing. The elders warned him. That night, the river stilled. No frogs, no wind, just a sound. A deep, slow breath, like air passing through ancient bones. The fisherman vanished. His canoe was found, undamaged, drifting. Inside, only his broken knife and 2 red streaks, like blood dragged by horns. Since then, the villagers say, never forget to give. The river never does. Madagascar's rivers are more than just water. They are life veins, carrying breath, memory, and sometimes warnings. The Lalomena, they say, could speak to the sky. It didn't just guard the rivers, it commanded them. Its breath could summon the wind, its whistle could twist the clouds, and when it rose, rain followed. It happened near Antanandava village, before roads crossed the forest. Dry season had stretched too long. The elders gathered, watching the skies. Nothing came. The river shrank, crops failed, children cried at night. Then, one evening, a sound broke the silence. A high, sharp note, like wind through bone, or a whistle not made by human breath. A young girl ran to the river. She said she saw something rise, just for a moment. Red, curved, shining in the twilight. Then it was gone. That night the rain came, but it did not stop. 3 days of storm. On the 4th, the river claimed the fields. On the 5th, mud swallowed homes. And by the end of the week, half the village had moved uphill. The rest were gone. The elders spoke in whispers. We forgot the rights we took without giving. We begged without bowing. To some, the Lalomena was a protector, to others a warning, and to the rest a god. The songs of the forest tribes say, the water carries memory, but the horn brings the storm. In the forests there are moments when everything just stops. No birds, no wind, not even water moves. They say the Lalomena walks then, not to punish, but to warn. It appears, they say, before disaster, before landslides, before floods, before the earth swallows the careless, not as a destroyer, but as a messenger. Sometimes the animals know before the earth acts. It feels the tremor before the ground shakes, hears the flood before the clouds break, senses the storm long before we see its edge. That is what the ancestors knew, and what we have forgotten. It was long ago when the cliffs above the Betsiboka River held on tight to their form, when trees whispered to each other over the land. A village elder woke one night to a sound she hadn't heard in 50 years. A long, low whistle, so deep it seemed to come from the stones themselves. She went outside. The fog was thick, too thick. It clung to her like sadness. And there, past her rice fields, she saw 2 red shapes rising from the fog. Still, silent, watching. She fell to her knees, told the others, begged them to leave. But they laughed, said she was touched by ghosts. By the next evening, the earth began to shift. 3 nights later, half the mountain came down. The village was buried before the sun rose. A story can outlive its teller. Sometimes it outlives the truth. For years, the Lalomena was just a story, a tale told over campfires, a sacred warning, spoken only in metaphor, until its shadow was found in the earth. In 1872, on the west side of the island, A paleontologist unearthed a skull like no other. A crocodile, yes, but not quite. Short snout, wide head, and behind it, rising like a crown, two bony spikes. Horns. Real ones. They named it Y. robustus, 4 meters long, big, a hunter not of rivers, but of legends. Its bones were strong, its horns more than ornament, perhaps for combat, display, or something stranger. Most chilling, it lived until 1,300 years ago, long enough for the first Malagasy humans to see it, to fear it, to remember it. But something was off. In the stories, the Lalomena was ox-like, massive, thick-bodied, river-bound, yes, but not scaled. This creature was much too crocodile and not enough oxen, more a hunter than a watcher, so science looked elsewhere, to even older bones, to a creature shaped not by hunting, but by peace. A hippo. The fossil of Hippopotamus lemerle, slenderer than expected, the forest version of a hippo. Not just one, but 3 unique species once spread across Madagascar. Hippopotamus lemerle, broad and river-dwelling. Hippopotamus madagascariensis, small, living in forests. And Hippopotamus lalomena, massive compared to the others. A true monster. Their tusks curved, sharp, and in the deep red soil, stained dark by time, they could easily become horns in the mines of memory. Things began to match. Tusks as horns, red earth as red bone, and the hippo's rage as a god's judgment. Its whistle, perhaps just its cry, a loud, deep sound echoing through valleys, louder than storms, louder than myth. Science found the bones, but the people, they had always known. There's a story from the early 1800s. A man named Ramiandaza, an elder from a highland village, said he had seen it. He was walking before dawn, fetching water. The river had been quiet for days, too quiet. Then he heard it, a sound like no other, not a roar, not a growl, but a song, low, long, filled with sorrow. He froze. Something huge came up from the water, broad, horned, eyes catching the moon. It did not attack, it did not come close, it just sang. A single, mournful note, and then it turned and vanished into the fog. He told no one, not at first, but when he did, an old woman nodded and said, "That was the last one. It sang for the others who never could." Madagascar was once full of giants, elephant birds, giant lemurs, horned crocodiles, and the Lalomena. Not one beast, but many. All vanished, but not at once, not with fire and fury. They died slowly, like embers dying in a holy fire. For centuries, humans and giants coexisted. We know this. Hippo bones have marks of human tools. Shells of elephant bird eggs lie shattered in ancient fires. But something changed. Between 1,500 and 500 years ago, the giants began to fall. Not by the spear, but by something quieter. The axe, the flame, the plow. Malagasy hippos were not grazers. They were forest creatures living in shade, eating leaves and rocks. When the trees were cut, their food vanished, their shade disappeared. The rivers became hot and shallow, and the Lalomena began to disappear. Not hunted, not killed, starved. In 1902, a colonial officer recorded stories of river cattle in remote valleys. Another report in 1976 spoke of something large like a hippo crossing a river at night, and bones not yet fossilized, still white, had been found. Some are less than 200 years old. This wasn't prehistory. The Lalomena didn't die in ancient times. It vanished in the age of empires, of maps, of men with pens. And still, not all believe it's truly gone. There is a tale from Bimavo village, told down in parts. It tells of a man named Simana, a hunter, not a fisherman. He didn't believe in river spirits. He laughed when others left offerings by the shore. Said the water was just water, and the old stories were chains meant to control. One evening he went down alone, not to fish, but to bathe after a long hot day. When he returned, he said nothing. Wouldn't look anyone in the eye, wouldn't speak. But on his chest, 2 long red lines, not bruises, not cuts, marks. He sat for days, unmoving. And on the 7th night, he left his home, walked into the forest. No one followed, not out of fear, but out of knowing. His mother cried, not from sadness, but because she remembered what her father once said. If the river ever touches you and leaves a mark, it's already decided. They never saw him again, but every year on that day, someone finds 2 red streaks in the sand by the river. We began with a whisper, a shape beneath the water, a beast with horns we once said was only myth. The Lalomena was never just a story, it was a memory, a creature once real, its body buried in layers of time, its soul kept alive in fire and silence. Its death was not a bang, it was a forgetting, and yet the stories return. Red horns in the fog, strange songs in the night, disappearing footprints by the river. The Lalomena is a ghost, yes, but not of a man, not of a soul. It is the ghost of a world we ended, a world of giants, of sacred rivers, of creatures that lived like gods and vanished like whispers. If you stay quiet for too long, you might hear it answer, because some monsters, they don't die, they just become memory, and memory is always watching.